Sailboat guy, right? I like him.
All right, here we go.
The following is based on a true event, short version. Daryl Benton, 67, construction manager, says, "My $1 million business just dried up, went bankrupt 6 years ago." I said, "They moved the cheese." Daryl says, "Huh?" I continue, "Your referrals moved to the internet. You need Google ranking. You need crowd targeting Home Depot customers." Daryl asks, "Isn't that expensive?" I answer, "Not really. When you target the right customers with money, you make money. You need John Limbacher."
All right, and another fabulous intro there from Mr. Gregory Santana.
And that was true. It happened yesterday. I was talking
Awesome.
to a salesperson about air conditioning,
Oh, wow.
and it was like, I was like, "So tell me about your business and what happened and all." And then he says, "The customers just disappeared." And then I said, "Well, that's because they moved your cheese." And he goes, "What?" And we got into a little deeper discussion. And I'm going to be in contact with him because he is now a sales rep for home improvements for Sears, but of course he desires having his own business and moving back to Palos Verdes, where his business was located at the time before it went bankrupt. So he wants to go home, and I want to help him go home.
Awesome. That sounds like a winner.
All right.
All right, so let's get cooking here. It is June 3rd already, which is kind of crazy, but it is what it is, right? my grandfather always told me the older you get, the faster the clock goes, and now I know what he's talking about. So anyway, we have been kind of discussing the last few weeks now about the big idea and how powerful that is, the concept. And I got up this morning and sat down in front of my computer at 8 o'clock, and I was going to do my traditional thing, like turn on my email and just get lost inside of there for a few hours. But I decided not to. I decided not to turn on the email and start looking at that. I opened up a Word document and started working on a big idea. And it took me an hour and 15 minutes to complete another big idea to sell the ACT program. So I wanted to share that with you guys and just show you my process and what I came up with. And you should be doing this. You should be putting effort into this on a continuous basis, because every new big idea you come up with is a new angle to sell to new people, or a new angle to sell to existing people. But regardless of what it is, either one of those, it adds up to more money for you. So that's the name of the game, right? Making more money. If you can't make more money, you can't grow your business, and that's obviously what we all want, right? More freedom. So I'm going to share the screen and just kind of go through this, show you what I came up with, the meaning behind it. So whenever you're doing copywriting, and this is more like for a sales page. This is a big idea to go on a sales page with more than, this is not like a Facebook ad. You would take a piece of this and use this for your Facebook ad. But this is like a landing page. So at the top, they always put up there what is called an eyebrow. This is a piece, and if you've gone through the ACT program, you've seen all this stuff before, but I'm just going to kind of go through and highlight it. So this is an eyebrow, and what an eyebrow is meant to do, it's to call out attention to who you're talking to, so they associate with you. It's like if they see that could be the piece that either draws them in or repels them. This is like the "this is for you if" statement. So I put up here, if you are starting or struggling in business, so whether they're starting a business or struggling in a business, that covers a pretty wide umbrella for me. And I say, this will only change everything for you. So that I have found in NLP, the only everything, this will only change everything for you, is a powerful subconscious statement. So that's why I use that. And then here I put a statement here. It is time tested and proven that to predictably grow your business, marketing is a need to succeed. So that's kind of my opener. Now I've highlighted in yellow the promise. The promise is to predictably grow your business. I've highlighted in green the unique mechanism or the illusion of a unique mechanism. Put that in green. I put the compelling factor in red, and you'll notice this has multiple green and yellow. It's got 3 different green and yellows to it. So it's more of an advanced big idea scenario here. So after that, I say, by far, the most valuable skill you can learn. And this right here, that you can learn, that's a statement addressing the fact that if you don't think you can do this, I'm telling you, you can. So that's like the claim proof benefit statement. That's the beginning of the claim proof benefit statement, is reversing that belief that will create an objection if they don't think they can do it. So I'm trying to eliminate that right up front. So I say, by far, the most valuable skill you can learn as a business owner is marketing. So I'm again tying that back here, tying it to what they want. They want to be able to predictably grow their business. That has been a very strong factor that I've found that people want. Sometimes they don't know they want that, but when they hear it, they know. You know, it's like sometimes you don't know what you want till you see it. This is one of those things. When they see that, they know they want it. Then I go on, it doesn't matter how good you or your product are, without effective marketing, you'll struggle and never be able to scale your business and be highly profitable. Most of the people have never experienced this. They've never experienced highly profitable, but they have experienced this. So again, I'm tying it back to the eyebrow. If you're starting a business, I'm going to eliminate the struggle and get you to the high profitability. If you're already struggling, we're going to eliminate the struggle and get you to the high profitability. So it's all intermingled, intermixed, going in the same direction. I'm not mixing the messages here. And then since we're talking about marketing, I say no one knows marketing better than ad agencies. This is where I'm tying in a something that they probably haven't heard before. And I say they have been honing this skill for over 100 years. So again, I'm talking about you can learn. This is a skill you can learn. Now I'm tying it to these guys have been honing this skill for over 100 years, which is why they can routinely take an unknown product. They're going to associate that to what they have, an unknown product, and turn it into a household name. Again, that right there is a promise. That's something that somebody would want. They would want their product or service to become a household name. That's like the ultimate in business. If you could create a widget, a product that becomes a household name, you become a gazillionaire. So that's like taking their dream to the umpteenth level. And that's what I'm talking. Those are the words I'm speaking here to this person. Then I go on, I say these ad agencies have employed some of the most brilliant minds in history to engineer highly optimized formulas. Now remember, engineer, that's in green. That's a unique mechanism. This is the thing that does the work, these optimized formulas that when implemented in the right sequence can create demand and desire for any product or service. We're back to another promise. all these promises and all these unique mechanisms are all in alignment. I'm not mixing the signals here. It's just a different way to say the same thing. And then I say these ad agency secrets are now available to you in the ACT marketing protocol. So this is the real thing here. This is what my unique mechanism is. That's what delivers the results. Up here, you can clearly see why it delivers the results. I'm putting believability in here. I'm not just telling you, hey, this thing's great, it'll do it for you. I'm giving you some proof here of how this thing came about and why it works. And then I go further into that to back that up. I have had the great pleasure of working with these ad agencies for over 30 years. After observing their process thousands of times, I have not only learned their secrets, I have broken down all of their formulas step by step, so you can now follow them and exponentially increase your chance of success. I'm not making any guarantees here. This is like for the FTC, you can't make guarantees somebody's going to have success. I'm saying when you follow them, it will exponentially increase your chance of success. If you're ready to predictably grow your business, now I'm coming into the call to action. You should put the ACT marketing protocol to work for you. It's the thing that does the work. I'm not saying, come in here and spend, all this time and effort and grueling things to, to get the result. I'm saying put this thing to work for you. It's all in how you package it. That's marketing. How you present your product, how they feel about it is going to make the difference whether they want to buy it or not. If they think they have to go to the gym and blood, sweat, and tears and stop eating and starve and all this stuff to lose weight, they're going to say, hell no. But if you show them the magic pill that does the work for them, then they're going to say, oh yeah, I want that. So it's all about how you present, package, and how they feel about it. So that's not a lot of words to spend an hour and 15 minutes on, but it took me an hour and 15 to finesse this and craft this into from an idea in my head to get it down on paper and work it in, massage it into this. So questions, comments?
Can you share that, John?
Oh,
Can you share the document with us?
Sure, absolutely. I would be happy to do that. It's going to go on a landing page probably by the end of the day too.
well, I have a request, sir.
Okay.
You and I are working on Invicta Trading, and I read this, reading this through. By changing the word from predictability, or change some of the words that into my trading. I would like you to, if your consideration, make this a preface to my ebook.
Sure.
Preface by John Limbacher, but would change the wording that would reflect to trading. What do you think?
Yeah, you guys can absolutely use this. You can modify this. You can, if this fits into what you're doing, little tweaks, little changes to it, could potentially work out for you.
Okay, so you're going to be the preface to my book.
Yeah, I have no problem with with you guys piggybacking on this stuff, because it's we're all in business. Most of us are in business serving other business owners, so this is pretty much right on key. It's right on point to what they want. So,
you know what's really crazy? In reflecting, talking with the guy yesterday, with Daryl, and he's 67, and he lost his $1 million business at 61. I'm going like, oh my goodness, I was 4 years away from retirement. I got out at 65. I've been living the life of Riley for 9 years, and this poor guy has to start all over again. If I take this statement and give it to him to read and say, Daryl, do you want to get back on your feet? Do you want your own independence? Do you want your freedom back? Do you want your company back? Read this and tell me if this will help you. If it doesn't, we're good. If it does, we're even better.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that's kind of the three things. Whenever you're creating a big idea, you want to make sure that it encompasses three things. One is the promise. You can see I'm not using the same promise. I'm doing a different variation of it. Like I've got multiple promises in here. And they all kind of add up to the same thing though. Predictably grow your business. The way that's going to happen is create demand and desire for any product or service. So it's a twist to the same promise, but I'm not going sideways into something totally different. I'm keeping the whole thing on the rails and on track, going down the path. And then back to predictably grow your business again. That's pretty much the same one as up here. So I'm just reiterating it again down below. And then as far as the unique mechanism, here it's described as marketing. Marketing is the thing you need to succeed, right? So that's kind of like an introduction to the unique mechanism without telling them specifically what it is. And then here I'm describing it. It's highly engineered, engineered highly optimized formulas. And then what is that? Here's the real deal. It's the ACT marketing protocol. So I'm consistently tying it down to the real thing. This is where it's finally revealed here.
So what's your call to action there, John?
Call to action is if you are ready to predictably grow your business, you should put the ACT marketing protocol to work for you.
But you're not like telling them to click this link or...
Well, that'll be the next thing. There'll be a button down here when I put it on the page. I'll probably say click here to get instant access.
Okay. So I don't know if I have a question. I just want to bring you up to speed where I am, because the last year, I've been doing work with brand new business owners. And, I created that whole, we've been setting up a lot of corporations, a lot of S corps. But over the year, I kept asking people questions to try to figure out what it was that they really wanted. And it really has nothing to do with bookkeeping or their business. They want to know, they want to keep their money. They want to find it, and they want to keep it. It's not just about saving money on their taxes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to come up with some new big ideas, and it's all revolving around, I'm gonna help find your money. I'm going to find you money, starting with your bookkeeping, because you need that to see where your money is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then we're going to start doing grants. We're going to set up not-for-profits, but it's just by continuously asking these people, what is it that you want? I think we finally got the answer. So I saw Teresa shaking her head.
Well, I also wanted to share this. I got your email this morning, and I see you're doing it, increase cash flow and pay yourself. That's kind of a big thing for a lot of business owners. They don't pay themselves. They want to get paid, but it's not happening.
You want to hear something?
That's a great promise.
I'm working with Larry Broughton, and I showed him my budget and my financials. He says, "Where is your salary?"
Yeah.
I didn't put my own salary in there. And I'm an accountant.
Well, I got to tell you, in my business, that's the first thing that comes off the top is the salary for me and Barb. We get paid out first. We've got a payroll service, and every month we get a paycheck. Now, as far as like the way we strategize, so we don't wind up paying a tremendous amount of tax in our business, is we pay ourselves a minimal amount. we get enough to get by. Like my tax guy said, look, for you to live where you live and live how you live, you need to make at least this much money. So I'm like, okay, so that's our base salary. And then our C Corp, we actually have a C Corp, and our C Corp operates as an independent entity, and it can buy anything that we want. It buys cars, it buys houses, it buys all kinds of stuff. And then I get the benefit of using those things. But the cool thing is, like, and Joe could attest to this because he is, he's kind of our internal tax expert here for the group, is when I buy stuff personally, I'm buying it after I've paid taxes on it. So my money is diminished. My buying power is reduced radically. That's why I pay myself the minimum for just what I have to get by with. And then anything outside of that is bought by the C Corp, which its buying power is higher because a C Corp pays money or pays tax on money after all the expenses are out. So it's buying a car at full face value, dollar for dollar. And then at the end of the year, if there's no money left, there's very little tax.
It sounds like you got a good tax guy.
So I've been playing this game for 30 years. So.
And you know what else, John? I went to a CPA's webinar yesterday. It's all about is the expense necessary and ordinary, and you decide. So that yacht that you bought, I hope that you're writing it off.
Oh yeah, multiple ways.
Right. Yeah, of course.
That's why, I've already run 2 mastermind groups on it. I'm setting it up to do charters. So I'm actually increasing my captain's license up to 100-ton license so I can run full-blown charters on it.
Wow.
So I'm gonna have a whole lot of fun, make a little bit of money, and get a free toy out of the deal.
I want one.
It won't. My plan for it isn't to be a major money maker, but my plan is to get it paid for and have a free toy. And quite a toy it is, I'll tell you. But I wanted to share this. This was the thing that I saw Joe. Joe is very active. He has been learning and following the ACT marketing protocol for what now, 2 years or more?
2016.
Oh, wow. So almost 5 years.
I did your freedom formula and I said, I'm screwed.
So, it's taken him a while, but hey, he's doing it. Every time I turn around, I see some kind of a promo coming out of him, and, some will work, some won't. But if you don't do anything, you're not going to see any action. So the more you do, the bigger your list will get, the more opportunities will come your way, the more money you'll make. It's just that simple. And use momentum. When somebody promotes you, you've got momentum. You've got a lot of eyeballs on you. So you can you can set yourself up to succeed by getting more people to promote you. It's hard to get the first one to promote you. But if somebody does promote you, why don't you speak on the fact that I would love to do this for anybody on here. If you've got an audience, I can make you some money. And it's momentum, when you can use that momentum to spin up more and more success. So the more stuff you have out here, the more big ideas. If I were you, I would be coming up with big ideas for getting people to promote you. Educate them, tell them, hey, you have an audience, your list is worth money. I can help you pull some of that money out of it. Because, that everybody wants to make more money. If you can show them how to get more money out of an asset that they already have, it's not going to cost them anything. That's pretty attractive. Frank Kern, he did a thing called the 4-day cash machine, and he gave this away. This goes back probably 15, maybe 20 years. He gave this away as a bonus, and what it was a way that anybody without a list could make money from someone else's list. And he said, it's just this simple. He said, you find a business that has a customer list that's not marketing to it, and you offer to do that marketing for them for free. You offer to go in and send an email out to their list and promote a product that they want to get sold, and you'll split the money with them, split the profit off the sales. That's how he packaged it. It was an incredible bonus. And it was very simple. It was a set of 4 emails that he gave as a template. And the emails went something like this. It said, hey, not necessarily hey, but dear whatever. I'm going to use my words. Hey, we've got a special offer going on product X. It's only going to be available for 4 days because we have a limited supply. This is the tail end of it. It's not coming back. If you want it, now's the time to get it. And you have 4 days. Here's the link to go ahead and purchase. There was no pressure on the front end. It was just simply, here's what we've got. Here's what it's going to do for you. Here's what you should do next, which is his formula. Very simple formula. Here's what I've got. Here's what it's going to do for you. Here's what you do next. That's the formula. And that was in the email. So the second day, day 2, second email goes out. It's reminding them. It's like, hey, if you haven't taken advantage of that, you've only got 3 days left now. And guess what day 3 was? Very similar to day 2, just changing the numbers. And the 4th email was the last one. This was the scarcity. This was the, hey, this is about to get away from you. Don't let this slip through your fingers. Last chance. And that's his set of emails. It's very simple. They weren't long. They weren't wordy. They were just simple to the point. You plug in the product here. You plug in the benefit here. Boom, away you go. And there was a lot of people that gave him testimonials that said, wow, I took that. I offered it up to the business down the street and I made $10,000 off of their list. There's a lot of businesses with massive lists that are not marketing to them. They don't know how. Marketing is the key to predictably scale a business. Those people want that. Maybe they don't want to learn it. Maybe they just want to have it done for them. This opens up a massive opportunity for people that don't have something to do or don't have something to sell. Go learn the skill. Learn the marketing skill. It is incredibly valuable, whether it's used in your business or whether you use it as a tool to make money in someone else's business. But I guarantee you, it is the most valuable skill as a business owner that you're going to learn. We can all learn how to make stuff, but unless you know how to sell it, you're not going to get rich. You're just going to be in pain, because there's nothing worse than having something is great in your pocket and not having anybody want it. It's great. They need it. It'll change their life, but you can't convey that to them. And that's marketing. There's 2 things. There's marketing and there's sales. You can hire a high pressure salesman that can sell anything, the whole slogan of ice to Eskimos, right? Nobody likes that though. Nobody likes to do it. Nobody really likes to be that guy. Although there are those guys that are good, they make money, they do it. I don't know that they really feel that good about it, but at some point it just becomes natural for them. But on the other end, the person getting sold to, nobody likes to be sold to that way. Nobody likes to be belittled and, high pressure sales and, all of that. It just makes us feel shitty. So when you have good marketing, it takes that completely out of the picture. You're just having a conversation. You're creating demand and desire from their internal wants and needs. And there's no better way than to have a conversation with somebody and then have them turn around and say, well, wow, could you help me with that? How hard was your close? You didn't have to close at all. You just had to say, yeah, I can help you with that. That's a really good place to be in business, is have people ask you if you can do something for them. Instead of you trying to jam it down their throat, trying to convince them or arm twist them or what have you. That is a miserable way to go through life. I have been so anti that before I knew how to do marketing, I just had to either depend on word of mouth or others talking about, if I had done something for somebody and they told somebody else. That's basically how I grew my business originally before I learned this stuff. And I was never able to really scale up big by doing it that way. But once I learned the marketing and I was able to create presentations that create demand and desire and eliminate objections, then I got people. I could sell so well from not actually selling that other people wanted to promote me. They're like, wow, I put this guy on, I'm going to make some good money. So it's hands down the most valuable skill you're ever going to learn. So anyway, questions. I don't want to feel like I'm browbeating you guys and all that. But I really want you guys to learn this stuff, because it will help you. No matter what you're doing, doesn't matter. Jim, go ahead.
Yeah, would you mind sharing that Word document in the chat?
Sure, I can do
throw
that.
A file in there.
Let me save it. And
that's a great example. And you and I have talked about marketing our own businesses, so congratulations.
Yeah, it's just for me to get off my duff and do something. That is a whole thing in itself. Okay, now I got to figure out what I called it. Act big idea. Imagine that. All right, it's in the chat for you guys.
Awesome, thank you.
No problem.
John, when are you going to come to another webinar for my whole group?
All you have to do is ask.
I think I just did.
Well, you tell me when do you want me?
I'll message you with some dates and some times later, but
okay, perfect.
You're always welcome, man. My community loves you when you come
in. Anytime any of you guys want to feature me, I pay well.
Am I the
I'm not seeing it in the chat.
John, am I the only one that can't see a document that you dropped into chat?
Yeah, I don't see it.
I can't see it either.
Same here, not seeing.
Oh, good. It's not me.
No, Linda, it's not you.
Network disconnect. Yeah, it says network disconnect. Maybe it's because I have it open. Let me close it. See if that helps. That was it.
There it is.
It was because I had the Word document open. It wouldn't let me pass it through. You guys got it now?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very cool. I'm going to be doing more of these because I've got, over the last 2 weeks, I've had so many people approach me that want to sell my stuff. It's like, okay, here I'm talking about momentum. I really need to stop sitting on my hands and playing with this boat, and I need to get to work. So I am going to churn out several big ideas here. I'm going to do what I do well. I'm going to work really hard for a very short amount of time, and then I'm going to ride the hell out of that.
Way to go.
So maximum payout for minimal effort. That's my thing. So, and you guys get to watch. So welcome.
It's a lot of noise from somebody's speaker. Can somebody please mute themselves with that air?
Oh, let's see. Let's see who the.
That got it.
Yeah, they muted.
Did the trick?
Yeah. Hey, John,
I think
for
it
those
was
of us
Roy,
new to the
yeah.
program, I know you record these. How can I go back and get the ones where you talked about the big idea?
If you go into the ACT program and you go into there's a tab in there for the weekly calls. There's a link to the archive.
Oh, thank you.
And you can go in there, and they go back for several years. I finally started doing, the Zoom calls several years ago. And when I did that, I kind of dropped off the old calls. I figured they were probably getting so old that they were out of date. But I literally have an archive of calls from this weekly meeting back to 2010.
Hey, John,
Hey.
how's it going tonight?
How's it going?
Going good. Is there an associated cost with any of this? I also have another question for you in a minute as well.
Okay, an associated cost for the program?
Accessing any of these calls.
The only thing I charge for on this is just the $29.97 a month, for the ongoing support and mentoring. So it's
So we check the old calls.
it's
Also,
pretty affordable.
would now be an okay question for me to ask some questions regarding Woody?
Sure.
Okay, cool, awesome. So is it okay if I screen share?
Yep. No
Okay.
problem.
It's great to see y'all today. My name is Sylvie, by the way. I've been helping out Woody for a while now. So
We're excited that you're getting Woody on the move.
thanks. Okay, let me go ahead and just open these and then I'll screen share.
And so for those of you that don't know, Woody has been on a transition ride here from an idea that, it was a great idea for a movement, but not really necessarily a good idea for him to make money, which is what he kind of learned along the way and made a shift and is now, going back to some of his roots of where he made most of his money and gonna play the game again, which is in real estate.
So this is Woody with orange and gray hair, how he looks currently. And we have been getting not really that many calls from the commercials. So we were thinking about changing Woody's hair color to what would be, I guess, deemed as less eccentric. I'll go ahead and show you that right now as well. I just have to change change the view 1 second.
The thing is, everyone, I have a twofold idea. One is, like the rep says, I'm on LA TV. I'm making my brand known. I think this ad is played 1,300 times, whatever. But the other thing is I'm doing the follow-up with news releases, like Joe Nasney, to get on local shows. And I'm wondering if the red hair will make me a legend, although I'm a legend in my own mind. But with the public, oh yeah, there's the guy with the red hair. My ex-wife says, holy shit, I'd never list a fucking house with a guy that looks like that. So hence we want a split test, and John, you might tell us where we could split test it. But I just want to get a feeling from the group. Would you handle your multi-million-dollar real estate deal?
Can I give some advice on the hair, John?
Sure. Yeah, I would love to hear it.
Woody, I had long hair for 16 years of my business, as most of you know. In 2020, I cut my hair and my business tripled. Not doubled, tripled. I tripled the number of customers. I tripled the number. I just look more professional. And I personally think, Woody, I would do a split test, is my opinion. I would do a split test and try it. See what people like with or without it, and see what your numbers are. You know what I mean? I had really good numbers and I had very good business with long hair, but like I was shocked that my business tripled when I cut my hair.
Well, we're going to send it to 250 houses on the west side, which is my target audience anyway. John, because you brought that up. You don't want to be asking the right question to the wrong person.
Exactly.
So I thought we will go to homeowners and, see. But, the other amazing thing about technology is the lady was able to color my hair gray. Did you guys notice that? All of a sudden,
I seen that.
Yeah.
John, tell me what you think about this idea for him. Is just something I was thinking is running I would run to those homeowners, try to run them through a website and just have them take hey, would you buy a house from a guy with red hair as a quiz question to get people to come in and try to submit your idea?
Yeah.
I have some questions for you. How do you guys think that we could potentially get this survey? I was kind of showing you the survey a second ago. We can walk through the questions. I have to jet in a second, but I can go ahead and put it up for you guys before I jet. How do you think we go ahead and get the survey out to the proper respondents, his proper audience base? Do you guys have any feedback?
Well, here's an idea of what you could do. You can pay a kid to send out flyers in a neighborhood. And on the flyer, what you can do is you can have them.
John, what do you say? I'm sorry, can you please repeat?
It's breaking up.
It's breaking up.
Oh, okay. So what you can do is you can pay a kid to pass out flyers in a neighborhood.
Okay.
And then what you would put on the flyer is some sort of a drawing entry.
Yep.
For people to enter into a drawing and, possibly win, dinner for two at some fancy restaurant or something.
On your boat.
Yeah, whatever it may be. But
drawing to win an iPad. Believe it or not, you can buy an iPad for $300 to give away, and that's a great way to grab leads.
Yeah. So you entice them with that free thing, and then for them to enter, they have to fill out this little short survey. And you could just introduce yourself and say, "Hey, I'm Woody. I'm the expert in your neighborhood, and I have a question for you. Do you prefer me with red hair or gray hair?" Just that simple. And for them to be actually entered into the contest, they have to submit that and put it in.
What do you think about the survey company that we found? Would you ask that many questions on the demographic?
The less questions you ask, the more people are going to fill it out.
Make it easy, Woody.
Yeah,
Make it easy for people to respond.
Yeah, if you give them a whole big sheet of stuff to fill out and it looks like a test and it looks like work, they're probably going to throw it to the side. The less, the better. I mean, the pertinent question you want to know is your appearance, right?
I have a question, Woody. Are you selling personally or are you selling team? Are you selling Woody, the individual sales agent, or are you selling Woody with an incredible team behind him?
Woody with an incredible team, and you're on it, baby. So get ready for it.
So keep the orange hair because it gets attention. And I would even every week do something different. Go purple. I mean, if it's virtual change, I would be shocking, be irreverent, I mean, you're on the West Side, for God's sakes. If you ask them, a political question like, do you like me better? Would you buy a house from a person with red hair? People are not going to answer that. But like John said, if you pose it, do you like me better with red, or do you like me better with purple, or do you like me better with gray?
I would do a contest for a couple weeks in a row. 1 week orange, 1 week red, 1 week. Do you like red or gray? Yeah. Orange or gray? Black or gray? I mean, I would do it a couple weeks in a row. Why? Because you're going to increase your list. Every time you're increasing your list and getting people to fill out something.
And it's fun.
Yeah, and it's a way to get you in front of them and get them introduced to you and engage them in an activity. So that's
All right,
that's a
can I get
great way to do it.
And P.S. Woody, I love the orange, hate the gray. There's my answer.
Here's
Well, you know,
here's
that's
another.
why that's why I like you more than my ex-wife.
Here's another thing, and this is a way that you can get everybody to win. Here's something that you could do that would be totally different. You know how you see Girl Scouts with a little table outside the market selling their cookies, right? You get familiar with that concept?
Repeat it again. The call was wavering.
Okay, so I'm sure you've seen Girl Scouts outside the local market selling their cookies, right?
Yeah.
So that's something everyone's used to. What if you set up on a street corner and in one of the neighborhoods that you're going after, and you had the kids passing out flyers in that neighborhood saying Woody is going to be on the corner of whatever and whatever Saturday morning giving out free donuts to anybody that will fill out his questionnaire. How many people do you think would come out and meet you on the corner and fill that one questionnaire out for a donut?
That, you know, and I, you know, I love this idea. I mean, Woody, I'm going to tell you, when I worked
they
for
gotta be
Starbucks,
homeowners, John, right? I don't want 10 homeless guys.
No, you would pass
you're
these.
going to get some of those no matter what you do, but yeah.
Yeah, you would pass these out to homeowners, and I don't think you're going to have homeless guys in the neighborhoods you're selling houses, are you?
Well, I'll bring them the lower price. No, I'm kidding.
Let me get Woody. Let me tell you this because I got to run. I got to have another meeting. But Woody, when I worked for Starbucks, the way we raised our tips is we put 2 jars up for the tip jar, and we put a thing which wife of Brad Pitt's do you like better, Jennifer Aniston or Angelina Jolie? And all that did was raise our tips by giving them 2 choices because they would put money in a jar just to vote.
Yeah,
and that's what you're doing with a survey is just getting people to vote so you can get their leads. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great point, Tim.
Yeah, and donuts are fairly cheap.
Yeah, it's it. So, guys, I got to run. I'll see you all next week.
Thanks,
all right. Yeah, see, donuts are fairly cheap, and it's only going to draw out your target market. You know, it's in a neighborhood that you're trying to introduce yourself to. What better way to introduce yourself than to have them come out and meet you face to face and see what a character you are? They're either going to resonate with you or they're not. And I think Linda is absolutely right on the money. I think the whole idea that you're a little outlandish and a character is the thing that's endearing about you.
Well, I have another conservative partner, not like Linda, you know, Richard Chernoff. And he had a friend that watched and said, he's very odd. And, you know, it's like when I'm playing a gig with a band and there's one guy frowning, you know, I'm looking at that asshole, you know, instead of all the people dancing and going nuts. So, you know, but I love my red hair. And John, you said something to Sylvie that I wanted to share with the group. And it was about being authentic.
Yeah.
And once you take the red out,
then you're no longer
I
you.
won't say I'm going to feel emasculated, but I'll certainly feel compromised. But for a couple $100,000, you know, I'll give you a box of donuts too.
Well, here's something I can tell you from my past, and I am very much against changing anything about me for anyone else. I'm about, this is who I am, and you either like it or you don't. I'm going to be fine either way. And this goes back to my photography career. And, you know, I was much younger and, you know, probably much more aggressive and cockier back then. But I didn't dress up. I didn't wear shoes. I wore flip-flops. That was it. That was, you know, that was my thing. And usually shorts and a t-shirt. And I had to go into the boardroom of Shell Oil. They wanted me to come in and do a project for them. And the guy that brought me in, he knew me. And he said, you know, I got a job for you. It's at the Shell, you know, main headquarters. So I showed up there to go in and, you know, do my presentation and figure out what they wanted and tell them I could do it or not. So they got this big boardroom going, and I'm on the outside and I can hear them talking in there. And he is telling the group, he's like, okay, this guy's a little different, but cut him some slack. He's the guy that can do this for us. There's no one else that's going to be able to do what he can do.
I mean, I'm the man that brought Keller Williams to Los Angeles. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm a leader, and I work with really talented real estate agents to get people what they want. So, you know.
Yeah, yeah. But I could hear him kind of prefacing them to me. So when I walk through the door here, it's winter time. So I still had my shorts and my flip flops and my t-shirt, but it was winter time. So I had a scarf. So I had like a Red Baron scarf. So I walked through the door into this boardroom and I flipped the scarf over my shoulder. I said, what exactly can I do for you boys? And, you know, they all kind of chuckled, and then we got down to business. And I have done business with some of the biggest companies, you know, in the world as me. I didn't get dressed up for them. You know, it was as me, and they were just fine with that. So, and anyone that wasn't, I was fine with that.
You know, it's very odd because a couple of weeks ago, I got a buyer, Linda Kay, and he ran me ragged, and then I just gave up, you know, and I had his own listed and everything, and he just pulled out. It was out of area. And he was such a pain in the neck that, like, when it was over, it was like, okay, there was 19 grand I just lost on a referral. But then, you know, I got used to it, and he called the other day and he said, oh, it was a misstyle. And I was so grateful not to work for this person. So you're right, you know, but it's played 1,000 times, and I can only look at myself like, you know, what do I have, a booger on my nose? You know.
Yeah. And, you know,
we always think the worst.
And looking at these questions too, these questions are putting you in a bad light right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
I would do like, I would simplify it up. Like Linda said, just say, hey, do you like me gray or red? You know, do you like me purple or green? You know, because that's all you're really looking for here. You're not trying to seed them. These questions, I think, are going to seed them with that you're not the right guy for them.
You're alienating with that type of question. You know, if somebody asks you what kind of ice cream do you like, I don't get into the nuances. Chocolate or vanilla, serve it up.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Tim said. You know, who do you like, Jennifer Aniston or, you know, whoever? Just put your quarter in the jar and vote.
I love that. That was such a great idea.
Yeah, yeah.
And Woody, I probably would go to Whole Foods or some of these high-end places. I mean, that's really where you want. That's where you want the higher demographic to give you an opinion.
Yeah.
Right. So
I would, rather than doing a survey, I would just say, do you want a pretty face or do you want to sell your house?
Hey, that's a hell of an idea. Because that's a statement that says, hey, I'm the guy, you know, if you don't like my looks, you can not get my results. That's like a classic takeaway. I like that. That's really cool.
Now, I don't know if anyone's noticed, but I have a hole in my neck. I'm wondering.
Hadn't noticed.
You know, I got a girlfriend that said that. She goes, God, you got a hole in your neck. Yeah, I do. But anyway, my question is, I don't want to overwhelm the audience. My cousin suggested doing another ad, but they're very expensive to do. And the sales rep said, hey, man, run this ad another 45 days. you're in showbiz and, don't expect a miracle. But the other suggestion was to talk to the audience and say, look, I'm Woody Blackman. I'm a cancer thriver. I'm the guy that bought the biggest real estate company in the world to LA, and I want to help you sell your home with multiple offers. Instead of this ad, which is a little jumpier, but you know what I mean? I'm in the middle of a campaign. Do you switch the ads or do you stay with this or?
Well, can I address the hole in your neck first?
Jawohl, Capitan.
All right. Well, here it goes. You got another one of those similar holes in your ass, but you don't need to bring it to anybody's attention. Okay. That's not something you need to worry about. That's just you. You don't have to explain it. You know, it's, I wouldn't even.
But can I use it as a benefit? Like, look, I've had 11 cancer surgeries. I'm a fighter. I'm going to fight for you. Or just say what hole in my neck, Yeah.
I wouldn't even, I would just, that's just part of you. It's not something you have to defend.
I agree with that. And Scott, I don't know, I only listen to Spectrum One, but that's where Jason and Ronnie runs an ad, which probably runs at least, I'm going to say 16 to 20 times a day if I'm watching in a 3-hour window on Spectrum. And I don't know anything about his business except that he's an attorney, and it's always the same damn jingle. It's Jason and Ronnie, call Jason. That's all I know. And I could probably recite it because repetition will stay on somebody's mind. And I don't know if he's a good attorney. I have no idea, but that's, if I had to have top of mind, he is top of mind. And I'd probably call Jason if somebody was in an accident. Top of mind. Keep your ad.
So stay the course.
Stay the course.
Stay the course and get a jingle.
Yeah, the whole thing is you need, especially with real estate, because people aren't buying and selling their house every day. You've got to be there for them when they need you. And you have to be top of mind. It's like Linda said, she can recite that jingle in her sleep. So
unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. Not that that's a great thing, but they have spent the money to brand that, to ingrain that into her subconscious. So when somebody thinks about, selling their house in your neighborhood, you want them to think Woody. But you don't have to explain anything about you. You don't have to, you don't have to apologize. None of that. You need to think of yourself as the best, and none of that matters. The only thing that matters is you're Superman and you're going to defeat the villain. And that's what they want. They want strength. They want security. They want confidence. And, if you start making excuses for things, that is going to diminish all of that.
All right, got it. So chocolate or vanilla, or do you want a pretty face, or do you want someone to sell your estates?
Yeah, I mean, literally what you're doing, you're using the whole hair thing as a way to introduce yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to
stay top of mind.
Yeah, and you're going to get their opinion, whether they like red or gray. But that really doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is you're going to use that as a leverage tool to get yourself introduced to them. If they like gray and you remain red, that's not going to matter. As long as you get the introduction, you get the chance for them to get to know you, you will become endearing to them and they'll love you. But don't make excuses and don't apologize for you. There's nothing you need to apologize for.
And if I were doing a survey of do you like red or gray, I would have the red meaning a colored picture, and I'd have a gray picture of everything is gray, so that you're not asking about your hair. They have no idea what it is. Do you like red or do you like gray?
Yeah.
Oh, got it. Do the picture in black and white and gray. Oh, shit. That's
Yeah. It's not about your hair, Woody.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's right.
Well, you guys have all seen the ad, so
The only thing I can say about the ad is possibly where you're running it. You know, if the audience isn't right, you can run it to, you know, till the end of time and it's not going to work. That's the part I just don't know. I don't know if the audience they're hitting is the right audience for you. And I'm not really sure how to answer that unless you just ask them for demographics.
well, the cable spectrum, the salesman has given us demographics, you know, they're
Okay.
all, you know, white people, they're all, you know, from 40 to 70, except on MTV2. I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing there, but that's part of the package.
Yeah, I
So
don't
maybe
think.
they go for this on MTV2, right? Maybe I could pick up a rock star. You know what I mean? I want to get together with Val Kilmer. He has the same physical challenges that I do as a disabled person. But I am in the Hollywood area.
But you're not a disabled person, Woody. You're an enabled person. You're enabled to sell houses for them.
And
Yeah,
that's why
disabled is so passe. I mean, you might be challenged. Actually, I think you ought to say something like, with my health, I've been to hell and back, and I'm willing to go there again for you to sell your house.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You use it all to your advantage, not to your weakness. It's not a weakness. It's only a weakness if you perceive it that way. And if you perceive it that way, they will too.
Yeah, I'm a little personally hesitant to bring up to new prospects anything related to your health, because that takes them mentally to people they know that are unhealthy. And is this person going to be a machine that'll get results, or are they going to have to drop out halfway because they're going to have recurring health issues?
Yeah.
I appreciate the idea of the tenacity that you're trying to convey, but just the fact that you are in this business confidently exerting your own style gave me the impression that you were a results machine, because nobody else would have the confidence to buck the suit and tie trend and be themselves. I thought you were a total success from the day I met you.
Yeah. See, that's perception.
John,
Well said.
something else here I was thinking about. Woody's spending a lot of money on Spectrum and advertising. Would it not be cost effective for him to go into geofencing and fence off Whole Foods and places where the people that have money shop? So therefore, he's now targeting the ones that, like I told the guy yesterday, massive customers with no money means no money. A niche customer with money means money.
Mhm.
So the geofencing might be another way of an avenue of getting the word out, as opposed to spending all the money with the Spectrum people, and you don't know who's watching and if they really are interested in the real estate.
Yeah. You know, a really granular way to use that would be to geofence open houses.
holy shit.
You could geofence an open house during the hours that people were coming in, and you could
John, how would that work? I mean, so
Tell us
usually
about geofencing.
by Thursday, most agents have put on the MLS that they're going to have an open house for Sunday. They post the time. Would the geofence vendor then take that information? How would they feed that information or apply the geofencing to the open house?
Well, see, the geofenced information is stored in a database, whether you use it or not. So I can go back in time up to a year in the past. If you can give me an address and the times that the open house went on, I can tell you who was in that house.
So by giving you an address of the actual open house and the time slot, you can find, oh my God, that's
Yeah,
scary.
for up to a year in the rear.
Wow.
And then you can create a retargeting database out of those people. and we can retarget to all of the devices that are attached to the cell phones that entered into that house, or those houses rather. So, and then you can start displaying display ads to them any place they go, on their phones, on their computers, you know, when they're browsing other sites, the ads can be popping up for you. So that's
I can play my TV ad on their phones.
you could display video ads. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you're presuming that the people who are going to open houses have houses themselves to sell.
Or they're in the market to purchase something, or they want to see what the value of their house is. Yeah.
Yeah, the only downside to that is you'll mostly get people that are shopping to buy a house there. So with open houses, that's kind of the key element. They're there to look at houses to purchase, you know, or do research like Linda said. But I think most of them are interested in purchasing, or you will get a lot of tire kickers though. I mean, I go to open houses in my neighborhood sometimes just to see how they've, you know, done upgrades and remodels and stuff. So it doesn't mean I'm looking to buy the house in the neighborhood, but you know, there's never 100% of anything in advertising. It's always a numbers game. But the fact that you retarget, you know, the ones that are the right ones is the key.
How do you geofence?
Well, you've got to find a company that actually provides that as a service. We have a vendor that does it. We call it crowd targeting. And what we do, we use 4 different entities to get the job done. I don't know of anybody else that does what our vendor does. And they use the satellites to fence the area, or to, you know, to outline the fence. And then they use the cell towers to ping the devices that enter into the fence. And then they take the ID of the cell phone back to the database at American Express, and they basically can find out every device that user has in connection. And then we take that to a retargeting company and we say we want to retarget these devices. So it's 4 technologies that have been mended into one to be able to do that. Generally with retargeting,
500 houses at a time.
yeah, you can do as many addresses as you want. The problem that has been traditionally with geofencing is the traditional geofencing is fairly ineffective because you're only broadcasting to the device that's in the fence while it's there. And most people are not looking at their device in a way that they're going to see your ad while they're in the fence. I proved this by doing this in Angel Stadium. I broadcast out to every cell phone in Angel Stadium during the 7th inning stretch that there was free beer at a particular beer stand in Angel Stadium. And you know how many people showed up for the free beer? 0.
You're kidding.
0. There was absolutely 0 results. And that's pretty ineffective.
I think that the target area or the target people for geofencing would probably be a younger crowd that's consistently looking at their phones.
Yeah.
At the 7th inning sounds like no one would be looking at their phones. People that are really into something are not going to be anywhere near their phones at that moment. But geofencing sounds like an amazing idea for something like he's trying to do. I think at open houses, a lot of people might be looking at their phones though.
Yeah, there was another way that I saw people using traditional geofencing in real estate was when they would get to the location, they would be in the geofence. Like let's say they drove up in front of the house. On the sign, on the for sale sign, it would say, check your mobile device for notifications. And then when you hit the notifications, it would pop up a link to virtual tour of the house.
Yeah.
So you could get a virtual tour of the house 24/7 just by driving to it.
Waze is also serving that up, but they're also serving up everybody else's open house in an area. So if you accepted that ad, say for instance, they retarget you to everybody else's at the same time.
Yeah, yeah. So I haven't heard much about that other than, you know, after its inception. I haven't really heard much about it. So I don't know that that took flight very well or what the deal was, but that is
John,
another way.
there's a third-party company. I'm hearing a lot of the ads on the radio. They advertise a lot on NPR. Guess you know where I list what I listen to, but they are. If you're tired of being geo-tracked, sign up for our service, and it's go go gone or something with go in it. How effective can you block? Could you block? Could you have some kind of app on your device that would prevent geo-tracking from pulling that information?
There's always blockers and stuff that you can use. You know, you could always block, but you would probably have to install something or
Part of the Freedom of Information Act to block that kind of stuff.
yeah. Well, when you buy a cell phone or a device, they have a clause in there in the fine print that you're agreeing to their terms of service. So part of that is if you want to block that stuff, you have to go in and physically block it. Then you have that right. You have every right to block whatever you want, but you are in control of that. And that's generally part of terms and service of any kind of a device or service or what have you. So Richard, I see you had your hand up. Do you still have a question there? You're waiting in the wings?
Certainly am, sir.
Okay, go ahead. You got the floor.
Yeah, and then the next thing I'm gonna get's the mop. Anyway. I'm working on I'm sort of rebranding your site pop because I like better the idea of, I'm calling it ICE, the ideal customer experience, which that kind of says a lot more than site pop as far as I'm concerned. And I hope you're okay with that. I may even actually want to have you come in. I'm doing a YouTube video ad, and I may want to interview you briefly during that ad if you're up for that.
Sure. Yeah, I would absolutely do that for you. No problem. And rebranding is a good idea. Like if you've got something that other people have, you want to rename it. You know, you don't want them to, like, the worst thing you could possibly do is go out and try and promote something as it is, knowing that they're going to go around you and just go right to it and try and price shop it. So that's the whole part of a unique mechanism. When you have a unique mechanism, you eliminate the price shopping thing because all roads lead back to you. Like when we sell site pop as site pop to agencies and to end user SEO guys that are doing their own SEO, because we don't care. That's what it is, and that's what they're buying. But for those agencies to go out and say, hey, we'll sell you the site pop service, they'd be crazy to do that. Because why wouldn't they just go and buy the site pop and do it themselves and save the money, right? So when I promote it to end users, like let's say I'm going to sell it to a business owner as a service, I would never call it site pop myself, even though it's my product and its name is site pop. I don't want them going around me to buy it, at a quarter of the price of what I'm going to sell them the service for. So I brand it as search signals or local SEO boost service. I call it something completely different. I love your ICE, that's really cool. That's kind of edgy. I like that.
Thank you.
But that's a great idea to rebrand it as a unique mechanism. Absolutely.
I thought that was pretty critical. And I like your big idea because what you just showed at the beginning, I think can be very easily sculpted to work for the ICE promotion in terms of a way of looking at it. The one piece I was missing, I don't know if I want to use it, but I'd like to have the arrow in my quiver anyway, was could you tell the story or, yeah, tell the whole story so I have all the information about how Google got their claws into every web browser, how all that came about, you know, what you told the whole story about how Google went to all the web browser developers and got them to stick something in there. Could you tell that story so I have all that info and have it straight?
Sure. This was quite some time ago. I had a particular document that I had created on SEO that was for my eyes only. And no one had ever seen that document other than me. And I had loaded it up to my server in a password protected directory that no one had access to other than me. And a short time after that, I was on Google searching for something to find out if it was coming up right in my site. And I saw that document indexed in Google and I was like, holy shit. How in the hell did Google get a hold of that document? And, you know, when you clicked on it, it was password protected. So nobody else could see it. But I was like, how in the hell did Google get access to that? I was freaked out. I thought I had some kind of a security breach. So I called this friend of mine that he's in charge of worldwide security for the Siemens Corporation. This is a heavy hitter. And, you know, he's been a friend of mine forever. And he said, oh my God, he said, I'll be right over. And he came over and he brought all his test equipment. He hooked it all up to my lines and he's sitting on the other side of my desk with his computer. And he tells me, he goes, okay, he goes, open up your web browser. And so I'm opening it up and I can see him, you know, watching what's going on in his test equipment. And he said, why don't you log into your bank account? So I logged into my bank account and I saw his eyes get big. And I'm like, what do you see? And he said, Google was in your bank account before you were. And I'm like, whoa, how did that happen? And he's like, I don't know, but I will find out. I'll get to the bottom of it. He came back the next day and he had figured it out. He said, it's a thing called safe web browsing. And he checked into it and he said, Google had implemented this and got some kind of a master distribution license to all web browsers in 2006. And they all agreed to install this in every web browser out there. And the whole goal and idea behind it is to protect your computer from bad requests coming through that would infect your computer, you know, to protect you from viruses, whether you had antivirus software or not, but basically to secure and protect the web for everyone's benefit. Well, that's a great thing, right? Till you find out who's behind it. Basically means Google has access to everything that has ever passed through a web browser since 2006. That is a massive amount of collected data. And, you know, talk about, you see these ads now for DuckDuckGo. You've probably heard them if you listen to radio. Like I listen to Jack FM and I hear them on there all the time. And it's talking about, you know, this woman comes on and says, you know, what's your favorite color? Oh, that's none of my business. And you know, she says, and neither is what you were searching for at 1 o'clock in the morning. That's none of our business either. She says, oh, that's a cute dog. What kind of dog is that? Well, that's none of our business either. That's their commercial. And, you know, they're basically sticking a fork in Google saying, you know, your privacy is meaningless to these people. And if you want a private web browsing experience, use DuckDuckGo. And so, but that still doesn't have anything to do with the browser itself. Even the fact that they don't cookie you and they don't share your information when you use their search engine It doesn't have anything to do with the browser. Google is installed in every browser out there by default, and they're collecting everything that we do. Now, it's my opinion, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, but it is my opinion that they have cut some kind of deal with the government and have a get out of jail free card, because that is a major, major invasion of privacy. And I don't believe for a second that all of the attorneys that Google has in their back pocket would allow them that kind of exposure without knowing they were safe to do it. So I think they've opened that access to some government agency to, in turn for allowing them to collect that data. But they have a massive amount of data on all of us because of that. I mean, everything that you've done online since 2006, unless you went in and specifically turned that off in your web browser, they know everything you've looked at. They saw it first.
Is that including pornography?
That includes anything, Woody.
I don't do that.
John, it's hard to believe you have a hard drive big enough to hold all of the information from every browser on the planet since 2000. I mean, where do you get a hard drive that big, for God's sakes?
Oh, you would be shocked. Google has data centers around the world. They've got so much data that it's not all in one place.
Warehouse is full. Warehouse is full of nothing but data storage. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy how much they know about us. Like, there's another story I've got. I don't know if I haven't told this in a long time, so I don't know if any of you guys have heard it before. But I actually got called into Google as a consultant. They actually contacted me and asked if they could fly me in for the day and pay me as a consultant to test out a new piece of software and see if I could, basically break it, see if I could find any vulnerabilities in it.
Ooh.
And, I'm like, I have no idea how they even heard about me. But I said, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds interesting. So they sent me on an airplane and went to their place up. I think you fly into San Jose and then it's a short drive over. And anyway, I get there and it was a unbelievable experience. I have never seen anything like it. You pull up, there's a little guy out there under a Google umbrella and he parks your car for you. And you literally, I asked him, I said, hey, I'm going to building 110. Where is that? And he literally said, just follow the yellow brick road. And here is a yellow brick road. So I start walking this yellow brick road and the place is like a massive campus. They've got buildings, it looks like dorms and parkways in the middle with grass and, trees and all kinds of stuff. And I come around the corner and I see a dinosaur. And here's a full-size Tyrannosaurus Rex from the Black Hills. I found out it was a real dinosaur. It's the only real privately owned dinosaur outside of a museum. And it was a real dinosaur come out of the Black Hills of South Dakota or North Dakota, whatever Dakota it came out of. I don't know. But it was around Christmas time when I was there. So he was wearing a Santa hat. His name was Stan. He had a name badge, a Google name badge called Stanley. And he had a Christmas tree in his mouth.
Wow.
And I'm like looking at this and I'm just like, wow, this is just freaking awesome. Where am I? It's like, I don't remember clicking my shoes 3 times, but I knew I was not in Kansas anymore. And anyway, I get to where I'm going and they check me in and they gave me a badge and immediately 2 of quite possibly the finest looking women I've ever laid eyes on came out and took me on a tour. And this tour lasted about 2.5 hours. And at the end, I mean, they showed me everything. They took me into the bowels of this place, and they showed me the data centers and, you know, their first computers that they got started with. They had archived them, you know, it was like in a museum room. And this place had everything. I mean, they had a dentist office on campus. You had something wrong with your tooth, you go see the dentist. There's like doctors, there's massage therapists, there's indoor pools, there was even a Fry's Electronics on the campus, and everything is free. Everything's free. You need a computer part, you go to Fry's, you go to the counter, you tell them what you need, and they hand it to you, and off you go. It's like, hey, I need a new laptop. All right, what model? Here you go. It's just like that. And it's coming up on lunchtime, and these girls ask me, they say, oh, you know, what would you like for lunch? And I'm like, I don't know, what do you got? And I think the number was 64. They had 64 restaurants on the campus. And the deal was Larry Page and Serge, those are the two Google guys. They basically travel the world, and when they find a restaurant they like, they buy it. And they transplant all the owners, all the workers onto their facility. They literally buy them, move them, and retransplant them to work on the facility. So they had basically every restaurant you can imagine. So I say, well, I'm pretty big on sushi. So we went to the sushi bar, and it's like, you go in, you order whatever you want, and you just walk out. There's no tipping, there's no paying, there's no bill, there's no nothing. It's everything you want on that campus is free. Unbelievable. But during lunch, these women start asking me some pretty prying questions into my business. And at the time, I had developed a software that was it was machine learning generated human content. And basically, you could drop any word into my machine and it would generate an unlimited amount of human readable content about that word. And we got it to the point where you really couldn't tell it apart. You couldn't tell it from real content from our generated content. And that was what had caught their eye. They were interested in that. And they started asking me questions, you know, in relation to that. And nobody really should have known about that software, but they knew about it. And so we're playing this cat and mouse game during lunch. And I finally asked the pointed question. I could tell they knew about the software. So I asked the pointed question directly to them of, what is it that you guys know about me? Or what do you think you know about me? And they said, we know everything about you. And I'm like, oh, fuck. and I said, well, why am I here? What is it that you really want? And they said, we want to know what your intentions are. And again, nothing has been said directly, as you know, it's just been a cat and mouse game up to that point. And I knew what they were talking about. And I left it with this. I said, let's just say my intentions are strictly honorable. Anything I make is for my private use and will never be released to the public. And that kind of put them at ease. But shortly after that, their entire algorithm shifted from content to linking. So I may have been the reason for that shift. Because they could no longer trust content. It basically took their trust in content and threw it right out the window, because I could manipulate it to the umpteenth degree. And I always said after that happened, I said, you know, if Google ever decides to go back to content and make content truly king again, I will own it. Because I've got that machine. So anyway, that's
still holding on to it, huh, John?
I've still got it. Yes, it works very well.
And they made no offer to buy it from you?
They didn't really want it.
Why get it? Why pay for it to get it for free?
It just scared them to death to know that it even existed.
I think they didn't show you their dungeon because you didn't get it from you.
Well, it was interesting too. After the lunch, they actually took me into this room, and they actually did have a piece of software for me to test and play with and see if I could break it. And it was really bizarre. I mean, they put these glasses on you, then they can see your eye movements and everything. I mean, it was pretty freaky. But they left me to my own devices inside this room, and I'm playing around with their software. And I made a couple intuitive hops that weren't part of the program, like DOS commands. And I got myself into a place that I wasn't supposed to be. And within seconds, there was 3 guys that rushed into the room, took control of the computer and said, "Oh, no, you're not supposed to be in here." And I'm like, "Hey, you might want to drop some index files in those directories so they're not browsable." So that was, it was just a very, very interesting experience. So for whatever it's worth.
Somebody missed something. Oops.
Yeah.
Sounds like you were probed on the alien mothership.
Yeah, that's kind of what it felt like. But it was an amazing experience. You know, it was a very good spend of a day for me.
It also sounds like you got to try like the first Google glasses or
Yeah,
prototype.
Could have been. Yeah, it could have been, because I had never seen anything like that before. Never even heard of it. But
well, honestly, if you guys ever read the terms and conditions of anything that you guys click those little checks for, I always read them before I sign up for a new app. They are terrible.
yeah.
And Google is really bad, but Facebook is just as bad. I've never had Messenger on my phone, and I never will, because they're allowed to go through every file on your phone.
Oh yeah.
Or not you, or give them permission. Really? Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy stuff.
Also, TikTok. I won't sign up for TikTok because all the data feeds right back to Beijing.
There you go.
And Telegram feeds all the way back to Moscow.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Terms and conditions, if you really read those things, you guys start getting scared, and you can go down that rabbit hole really easy. YouTube, like what actually goes down on the internet, or watch that the social dilemma, and you guys will get a reality check real quick on what's actually out there, what you're actually signing up for when you use your phone and all that. There's a Kickstarter for something called the Light phone, where it's just like text messages and phone calls, and you're not really doing anything else. And I think it's actually really good that some people are going back to the original, very, very, hands off. I just need to be in contact with people, because that's how society works right now. And, maybe I don't need all of this extra in my life. It's kind of beautiful, the simplicity of it. And, you don't have to have all this information about yourself out.
Back to basics.
Mm-hmm. Back to basics.
All right. Well, I think unless there's anything else you guys want to hit, we'll go ahead and wrap her up for today and be back on next week.
I want to thank everyone for the inordinate amount of time I took. And if you need to buy or sell in Los Angeles or anywhere, give me a ring.
Hey, Woody, it's always worth it listening to you. You're good, man. You're good.
You guys, thank you so much.
Thank you, John. Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. All right, guys. Well, have a great week. We will
all ashore.
See you next week.
Ciao, ciao.
For John. Bye.
Bye-bye.